Hello and welcome. So, you want to go and see Japan. Very good idea, amazing country. But you don't just want to see Tokyo or Osaka, you actually want to travel around a bit, even going to the countryside maybe. And you don't want to rent a car. Is it possible to do everything with public transport? Well, I tried it out and here is my personal experience. Our flight arrived at Haneda Airport and from there we took our first train. It was called the Keikyu Line. It's a private train line that connects the airport with the city of Tokyo. Very convenient, runs very regularly and very well priced. Probably the easiest and quickest way to get into the city. Tokyo, of course, is a must-see city and something you have to see if you've never been to Japan. We stayed 5 days there and we relied solely on the underground system and some of the private train lines. Buying tickets was very easy, you always get them at the station and everything was pretty straightforward. All trains were always on time and they were spotless clean. By the way, in Japan, each train line has its own warning sounds when a train arrives or departs, and some of them are simply amazing. The only time where we cheated a little bit was when we went to see an exhibition in Tokyo. We could have taken the train, but we saw this amazing boat and so we decided to buy a ticket online and took the boat instead. So that was the only time when we actually swapped the train for something else. But I mean, look at this. How cool is that? On the last day in Tokyo, we took a train to Shinjuku Station. Shinjuku sees 3.6 million people every day, which makes it the busiest railway station in the world. And from there, we took another train to Shinagawa Station. And from there, it was time for our first Shinkansen, the Japanese bullet train. Now, even if you don't like trains, this thing is just absolutely amazing. On the Tokyo-Kyoto line, which is what we took, the Shinkansen runs every 10 minutes and trains do not run to the minute, they run to the second. And this is important because trains will only stop for about 2 minutes at the train station. So make sure when you get to the platform you find not just the correct carriage but also the correct entrance for your seat. Now in our case, when we arrived at Haneda Airport, we actually already bought all the Shinkansen tickets in advance at the JR Line office, and this was very good because these trains are very busy, and if you have a seat reservation you make sure you have a nice window seat and maybe even get a glimpse of Mount Fuji. We left the Shinkansen in Kyoto, and Kyoto is a city my family and I immediately fell in love with. It's incredibly beautiful, full of history, but it's not just the city itself, it's the entire surrounding areas. So we did most of it on foot. Once we took a train out into an area where you have really old temples, and another time we actually took part in an organized trip which ended up at a beautiful fishing village and some beautiful beaches. After 2 nights in Kyoto, which in hindsight was way too short, we really treated ourselves. We made our way to the main railway station and took the Kintetsu railway line. And on there, a few times a day, there's a very special luxury train which is specifically designed for tourists and people that want to really enjoy the nice ride from Kyoto to Nara. We really treated ourselves on that trip because we even paid extra and had this luxury compartment just for ourselves. In the middle of the train there's a very cool buffet car which sells delicious snacks. The train dropped us off in Nara, and Nara to me was a very special place. It is full of beautiful gardens and temples, it is very relaxed, and of course it is famous for its deer that actually live amongst the people. They are still wild animals, but they are very tame. And I have to say they're probably amongst the most polite animals I have ever seen. After 2 days in Nara, which once again were way too short, we made our way to Osaka using just a normal JR line train. Now Osaka was the complete opposite of Nara. It is basically a bit crazy, to be honest. It seems like anything goes. It is loud, brash and full on, but in a good way. I enjoyed it. It was just a bit of a shock after the peace and quiet of Nara. Whilst we were there, we relied on the underground system, which once again was spot on in terms of cleanliness, on-time performance and reliability. After 3 days in Osaka, it was time for our final journey. Once again, we boarded the Shinkansen, this time all the way to Tokyo. And in Tokyo, we went back full circle to the Keikyu line, which took us back to Haneda Airport. And from there, sadly, very early the next morning, we started our long trip back home. On the way back, I watched a movie called Time to Destination. Not much dialogue, but it was exactly as long as the flight, so that was very convenient. So, to conclude, is it possible? Is it easy to travel through Japan just using trains and public transport? I would say absolutely. Yes, some of the train stations are huge and very busy, but everything is well signposted, and if you get lost, there's always very friendly staff at hand to help you out. Maybe just a few pointers. Japanese culture is very polite, very respectful and very orderly. There are marks on the ground where you should queue in order to get onto the train. Unfortunately, we saw some tourists pushing past the queues and just ignoring all of this. This is obviously very impolite and I think it's very disrespectful. It's not seen as polite to talk on a train loudly, so please don't shout across the carriage. People like to have their peace and quiet when they're traveling on the train. It's also frowned upon to eat on the train. It's actually not allowed at all unless you go on something like a Shinkansen, then of course it's fine, but on the underground please don't eat. Again, we saw tourists eating potato crisps and then leaving a mess everywhere. I just don't understand why this is necessary. Be respectful, be nice to the Japanese. They are lovely people, they are extremely helpful, very polite. The country is amazing. You're gonna have an amazing time and you're gonna eat some amazing food. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. I hope you found it useful and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, all the best. Bye bye.